This commute is going to be a nightmare. Got my tool bag and I'm on my way down. I'm going to that house on the corner there. So yeah, bit of a long way to go to this morning. Yeah, guy was in a bit of a panic yesterday when his heat and hot water ain't working. But I don't know if you can see that condense on the outside there. I can guarantee that's going to be the problem. So we'll get in there and have a look. So yeah, as you can see, it's a very long run. I've got F28, but I can't even get up there because that's just so slippy up there. Knowing my luck, I'll go straight through. So I might just have to take it off inside, put it into a bucket for now. Just a bit, there we go, you can hear it rattling down. There we go, hammer it again. There we go. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. This is just working life right now. Right, just getting my bits out, and next one is saying a Suprema. So let's get in there, see what's going on. So, got a horizontal tank. This was down at 45, so I've upped it a little bit. Valve is new, but also customers inform me he's only got it on for 30 minutes at a time. So yeah, 30 minutes for a 300 litre tank. Yeah, that's it, mate. As we saw there, yeah, it wasn't a Suprema. They've had a brand new install done, and basically what it was, the customer was reporting that their hot water was only coming out lukewarm, and obviously they had it at 45. I've put it up to 55, but it's not down to the temperature. The temperature is fine, but it's down to the timings. They only had it set to 30 minutes. 30 minutes of a 300 litre tank, what's that going to do? I mean, come on. So I've told him to at least put it up to like an hour and 15 minutes because he's trying to be, you know, conscious of using excess gas, etc., which I can understand. A lot of people are the same at the minute, and I'm coming across this quite a lot, this type of thing. So yeah, I've told him just to see how he gets on with an hour and 15. If it's still not hot enough, then put it up to an hour and a half, or if it's hot enough, then bring it back down to maybe an hour if you're trying to be, you know, more conscious. So yeah, he's happy. It makes sense to him what I was explaining. So yeah, we'll get on to the next one. Right, so this one, next one is, I think it's a glowworm. So we're getting here, the customer is reporting, well, he couldn't tell me what fault code is on there. So we'll get in, have a look. I'm suspecting probably another frozen condense, but we don't know until we get in there. So let's go. Right, so this one is showing F26 on the boiler, but I just want to be sure because of this run. I'm not too keen on it. Right, so the pump is good and strong. Just tested it with a screwdriver, it's quite really strong. Right, so on this one, basically the customer's had a power flush recently in the last couple of weeks, but all I can hear is the boiler, when it's firing up, it's crackling away. The temperature rise is going from 16 up to 56 very, very quickly, and then cutting straight back out again, and then waiting for it to cool back down again. But it's taking a long time in between times because I'm assuming that the heat exchanger just isn't distributing the heat. The pump's all good, the valves are all good, everything's working well. It's literally just, I think it's just down to this heat exchanger. So I'm going to replace that on Monday. It's just fired up, so I thought I'd just show you. So there you go, 16. If you can hear it crackling. And then the flow for Mister's just getting too hot, and then it's just locking out. There we go, it's gone out, so it's even less now. So yeah, new one. But I'm freezing. So yeah, on that one you could hear the heat exchanger crashing and banging around. So yeah, definitely needs a new heat exchanger. So I'll be back Monday to do that. So we'll get that one done. I'll film it as best as I can as well. You've seen me do it already with the flue collectors. So it's basically a replacement anyway, but we'll do it. I'll film it anyway. Next one here is literally across the road from that one. So I'll get into this one and see what's going on. Well, on this one, I've been here before. Somebody else has been here, and you can see that dodgy earth cable. I've no idea why they put it like that. No idea. But basically what I'm just showing you is that this is an intermittent fault, that sometimes the boiler will just work and the pump will run. But since I've been here, I've noticed that the pump just goes dead. No power, but the boiler carries on running, banging, etc. What I'm just showing you here is, so earth to white, I'm getting 240 on that. Okay, so that shows me that the programmer and the thermostat are sending the power. And then earth to orange is that the motorised valve has moved across and it's sending signal back to the pump, to the boiler, and then onto the pump through the PCB. So they're all good. But what I'm finding is that the pump will be running fine, and then all of a sudden it will just go dead, like no power to it. Now I took the cables off. Took the connection off, put my multimeter in there, and I was getting 123 volts. And then all of a sudden it will just kick back into life. I'll get 240, the pump will run, etc., all that sort of stuff. So, and it will do that periodically. So all of a sudden it will just be working, the pump will go dead, and it will just drop straight back out again. So I just thought I'd just film this one while I'm going through. I mean that cable was loose anyway, but it wasn't down to that. Just showing with my volt pen, nothing there, absolutely nothing. So what basically on this one, what we're getting 240 on the white, which is showing that the programmer and the thermostat are doing what they need to be doing. The next we've got 240 on the orange, which means that we're getting power to the boiler and the boiler is firing. That's absolutely fine. But what's happening is I'm getting intermittent pump. So the pump will be on literally intermittently. So it'll come on and then all of a sudden it'll just go dead. But then I'm checking the terminals and I'm getting 123 volts there, not 240. And then all of a sudden it'll just spike back up again and come back in again. So I'm just going to have a look through the wiring diagram and see if it's the pump live back to the boiler, and it could be the circuit board maybe that's not sending the signal all the time. Everyone gets this, but tenants just don't tell you the full story or what you need to hear or anything like that, because on that job I was sitting there and I was just like, wondering what the problem was, and then all of a sudden the pump just went dead, and then I was like, okay, that's weird. And then then all the banging and she didn't seem fazed by it, but all the pipes were banging, everything. It was quite bad, obviously, because the boiler was just overheating because the pump went off. And she said, oh yeah, it's always been like that. I was like, oh, and that's normal, And she was just like, yeah. And then it's definitely the circuit board, because I was checking the wiring diagram and the wires, so it goes to the PCB, then through the PCB and back out again to the pump. And now if that's losing half the power, then there's obviously a problem back at the circuit board, because I'm still getting 125 volts or 123 volts. So yeah, I'll come back Monday, because it'll just go out, it'll come back in again of its own accord. Now I know on these alpha pumps that the circuit boards on the actual pumps can play up, but because I'm losing the power going to it, that's got to be the issue, if that makes sense. So just trying to let any new people know sort of my thoughts behind it, how I'm trying to work it out in my head. I do carry pumps in case it isn't the circuit board, but I mean, there's no point in replacing a pump if you're not getting 240 at the pump, in my eyes. So yeah, okay, so we'll move on to that one. That was a bit overdrawn. I couldn't film my last one. It was basically just a shower issue, and what it is basically the thermostat, I think, has gone in the shower. I've upped the temperature on the boiler, just said, look, use that, because all the other outlets are absolutely fine. We can get it to a decent temperature for them to use now. They've got a disabled mum, so she needs the shower and stuff like that. So yeah, they're going to get a new thermostat and get somebody in to replace that. Next boiler I'm going to is a Worcester CDI, which has got intermittent EA fault. So first thing I'm going to be looking at is the electrode. So let's get there. Right, so we've got an old beast here, still got the sight glass in there. The tenant is saying that intermittently it will come up, but they don't know what code it is, they can't remember. So I'm going to look at these first, to be honest. You can see that sight glass not looking too healthy. Okay. See, that's probably the problem. Right, so them last ones there, I was just talking about with regards to continuity, etc. I've had quite a few messages in the past, what I'm checking for, why I'm checking it. So with regards to continuity, you want to be making sure that the electrode is actually sending the signal back. So imagine this is one end of the electrode, this is going back onto the cable. You want to make sure that this is able to detect it and then send it back through to the board. So what I'm doing is I'm just checking the electrode to make sure that it's okay. Imagine this copper, this bit of cable here is the electrode that we're testing. So we're going to go to the beep setting. So if I put this onto here, we can hear it's beeping. So now I want to check that this cable is good, yeah? So there we go. So the cable's good. We've got good continuity going back here. So at least then I know that, say this is the electrode, I know this electrode is doing what it's doing. Then I could be testing the cable. So imagine this is the end of the cable that goes on there, back to the board. Then I could be testing that to make sure I've got good continuity back to the board. And then if it is, then it could be down to the board not recognizing that signal. So yeah, just thought I'd do a quick video on what I test and why I'm testing it. Yeah, so hope that helps someone, especially new guys who've messaged me in the past. Yeah, any old boys and stuff like that or people that do know it, I apologise, but I'm putting it in there. And thank you very much for watching. I know today again it's not been the most exciting, so let's hope we don't get so many condenses next week and we can get onto some other breakdowns. And you see I've had a little trim and what's left of me hair, so hopefully I look a little bit less homeless. Yeah, thanks again guys. If you haven't, please like and subscribe, and yeah, see you next week.